Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, November 18, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below, let me know what the has been like in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future other than your specific area. Alright, so before we take a look at what's happening across the Atlantic, we first need to wrap up on what's happening across the Western Pacific. And remember, we highlight the Western Pacific because we have lots of friends or relatives who live or work in this side of the world. Just for reference, we can see the sunlight coming up right here across the Western Pacific, the signal that it is Tuesday morning their time. We can see Japan right here, China right here, Taiwan, and the Philippines that have been ravaged by so many typhoons. We know typhoons are basically the same as hurricanes in the past 2 weeks, and they just got that typhoon right there, that's Super Typhoon Man-Yi. And another name for Man-Yi was Pepito, and we see that it definitely lost a lot of its strength as it made landfall into portion of mainland Philippines right there, and then pushed out towards the northwest, where it's expected to push downwards to possibly affect Vietnam later on this week. And if we take a closer look at the infrared satellite images, we can make out the high cold cloud tops, the greens, the reds, the blacks, the purples. Lots of deep convection still associated with the system, but it's not looking like that classic hurricane or tropical storm kind of system. Definitely being shared, as we can see, from south to north. Definitely not looking like itself right before it made landfall into the Philippines for sure. And regarding the intensity, we can see that the Euro ensemble spaghetti moles as well as the GFS ensemble spaghetti moles take it down in terms of the strength back to tropical storm status, as well as back to maybe tropical depression status, maybe even dissipating the system before it even heads into the eastern portions of Vietnam right there. And even the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, that's the same center that's equivalent to the US National Hurricane Center for these systems in the Western Pacific, they have a similar track, more of a westward track and then a southwestern track towards Vietnam, but possibly not even making landfall. And we can see that as of the latest update, the system is now packing maximum sustained winds of 50 knots. And if we take a look at the Saffir-Simpson wind scale, we can see right here that 50 knots basically the same as tropical storm status. We see right here the range from 34 to 64 knots. Right there, definitely tropical storm status in the greens for sure. So this is definitely a tropical storm right now. And we definitely had a lot of footage coming out on social media. One right here from Our World on Twitter, stating Typhoon Man-Yi has swept across the Philippines' main island of Luzon, bringing heavy rains and strong winds. The powerful storm hit on Sunday, triggering more than 1 million evacuations and damaging buildings across multiple regions. And we can see the system right here pushing towards the northwest, and we can see the damage that it did. I mean, look at the strong winds, look at the heavy rainfall, the sheets of wind, the flooding that took place across portions of the Philippines for sure. It definitely caused great damage. This is just one video here, basically compiling what took place. We also have another video right here from Voice of America, stating Typhoon Man-Yi left at least 3 villagers missing, destroyed homes, knocked out power in entire towns, and displaced many others before moving away from the northern Philippines, worsening the crisis caused by 5 previous storms, officials said Monday. We can see another video here showing footage of the damage. At the beginning of the video, we can definitely see what looks like a roof being torn off of a house or a building. We can see the trees moving along. Look at the heavy rainfall. We even highlighted this clip in yesterday's video. Look at all of the palm trees. Let's skip forward. Let's see what's happening. Boy, this is what typhoons, in bracket hurricanes, do. So we definitely have to take these systems seriously, and we can't just be focused here on the Atlantic, because we know that we have a lot of friends or relatives who live or work in this side of the globe, and we don't want to be there wondering if everything is all right with them. So we definitely have to stay updated with the weather. The weather is everybody's business. We have one more what looks like a video here highlighting what took place. Is this highlighting the same system? All right, definitely the Philippines right here, highlighting the same super typhoon. Look at the heavy rainfall, look at the wind. I think we highlighted this video in yesterday's video as well. And we definitely have confirmation here from ABC News stating that Typhoon Man-Yi leaves 7 dead in the Philippines and worsens crisis from back-to-back storm. So that was the official death toll as of 12:45 a.m. this early morning. Hopefully it remains that number and doesn't rise or anything like that, boy. We know these things go. Typhoons, hurricanes are just bad news in general. Alright, so let us switch gears and talk about what's happening on the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook from the U.S. National Hurricane Center. And we can see that as of the latest update, we can see it came out at 6:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this one just came out, almost 30 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:38 p.m. right now. We can see that there's nothing expected within the next 7 days, but we still have 10, maybe 12, 13 days left in hurricane season for sure. And we know the next names on the list: Tony, Valerie, William. Let's see if we actually get anything before all is said and done with this season in general. And just for reference, we know that we can definitely get systems in December as well, so we have to be on the alert just in case, even although the season ends in November. And with the very warm sea surface temperatures across the Atlantic and the Caribbean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get something forming in December. We've had systems form in December before. We've had systems form in January, February, March, April before. It's not uncommon. Well, it's definitely uncommon, but it's not abnormal. It's not impossible is the word. Okay, so we can still get systems forming outside of hurricane season, June to November for sure. All right, so we can see that we no longer have Sara affecting Central America, but we still have a lot of footage coming out here highlighting the flooding that took place in parts of Belize. Belize is another one of our Caribbean English speaking countries, and we just saw that Honduras got their fair share of flooding, and we can see here that Belize was getting in on some of the flooding as well. We can see what looks like a river, but it's actually a road covered with water right here from Sara for sure. We also have another video right here highlighting the same. Lots of flooding taking place across some of the streets of Belize for sure. And finally, we have one more from Storm HQ stating the team has branched off, one in Belize City and the other in Lucky Strike, Belize. This is footage from the city, and of course flooding continues from Sara, and we can see it right here highlighting the flooding from inside vehicles for sure. And we can see that it's not that high or anything like that, but regardless, we don't have much luck here in Jamaica, so even if it doesn't seem that high, always turn around and try not to drown. Unfortunately, we have hundreds of Honduran villages cut off by torrential rainfall, according to the BBC News right here. Definitely expected, considering how mountainous Honduras is in general. The topography, there are a lot of mountains in Honduras, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're cut off due to landslides or flooding. Let's see if I can find the topography of Honduras. I found it yesterday, and I think this is it right here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so This key does a great job of highlighting the topography. Let's zoom in some more. So this is Honduras. So it makes sense that a lot of villages in Honduras definitely cut off. We can see all of the mountainous areas, anywhere from the gold colors that represent what, anywhere from 1,000 meters all the way up into the red colors, all the way up to close to 2,500 meters. That's a lot of mountainous areas for sure. So it makes sense there are going to be a lot of landslides, lots of flooding taking place. I'm pretty sure that majority of the rivers, especially in northern Honduras right there, definitely in spate for sure. Let's switch over a bit to Jamaica. This is quite a nice set. I might just bookmark it. We can see the mountains as well, all the way up into the reds clearly. The highest mountains are right here in eastern Jamaica. We have the Blue Mountain Range, central Jamaica with some amount of hills from Manchester all the way northward into the Cockpit country right there for sure. But clearly the highest mountains are right there to the north of St. Thomas, to the south of Portland, to the northeast of St. Andrew right there. Unfortunately, we have bad news from Tracy Press stating that Tropical Storm Sara killed 4 people in Honduras and Nicaragua. Hopefully, that's the number that it remains. We don't hear about any more deaths coming out of the system or coming out of Belize for that matter. Hopefully, it remains right there at 4 people. Boy, we can't take the bad news at all coming out of these systems. Alright, so let us switch gears and talk about what's expected over the next 7 days according to the Euro and the GFS supercomputer models. And as usual, we're going to be looking at the next 7 days. We're looking at the next 168 hours. So keep your eyes peeled right there at the top. And we're going to be focusing our attention right here across the Caribbean. For reference, we have Jamaica right here. So keep your eyes peeled. So first things first, what are we going to be noticing? The lack of rainfall across Jamaica. Look at all the white. We're heading into Tuesday, we're heading into Wednesday, Thursday, and then we start to get in on the line of greens right there coming in from the west associated with that frontal system. It should be right to the west of us by Friday. Some of it spilling into portion of Jamaica by late Friday into Saturday. Saturday we're starting to get in on some of that rainfall with more of a northeasterly kind of flow across the island. So more than likely by the weekend, that's when we're going to be starting to get in on some rainfall. And we can also see some rainfall right there to the south of Hispaniola pushing westward. So some of that rainfall will definitely come back into portion of Jamaica associated with, if not a trough, maybe a tropical wave. And then we see the abundance of moisture right there across portions of the Caribbean. Who knows, maybe we might get something formulating. That's a lot of moisture. We see a lot of dark greens that represents anywhere from 2 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall. Even some yellows in there, maybe up to 6 or maybe 8 inches of rainfall, especially to the south of us. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, this is what the end of the 168 hours looks like. This is valid for 12Z on Monday, November 25. This is 7 a.m. on next week, Monday. So clearly, this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, dry. But we see that by the end of the day on Friday, the greens associated with the frontal system starting to come into portion of western and northern Jamaica. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, even more rainfall expected for sure. And the GFS 18Z run confirms this for sure. We see the whites that represent little to no rainfall heading into Wednesday, Thursday, and then look at Friday. We see the greens that represent the moisture from that frontal system right there starting to come into portion of Jamaica. Remember, even yesterday's GFS run wasn't showing the coast front coming in. Now it's starting to cave to what the Euro has been showing. We see the moisture from the cold front coming in. We see the 12Z Saturday, November 23, which is actually 7 a.m. on Saturday, showing a lot of moisture, especially on the north coast for portion of Jamaica. Sunday, look at what's taking place to the south of Hispaniola. Lots of dark greens and yellows starting to push in to portion of Jamaica. Look at that. Even some yellows, oranges, red. Something is going to be happening during this weekend into early next week for sure, and we're going to be stopping right there at the next 168 hours. So let us match it out with what the Euro was showing. The Euro for 12Z on Monday, the GFS for 18Z on Monday, still the same day, but we get the gist. There's going to be an increase in moisture for sure as we head into the weekend and early portions of next week. And both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus. They're in agreement with that, and that's what we look for. We look for certainty on both the Euro and the GFS models, and clearly that's what's going to be happening for sure. And even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps are starting to accumulate some of that rainfall that's going to be expected during the weekend and early next week. We're starting to see some colors across portions of Jamaica, some yellows, oranges, reds, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS models. GFS even incorporating some purples. We even see some tremendous rainfall right there to the south of the western peninsula of Haiti. That is just ridiculous if that actually verifies. As for right now, in terms of consensus and the most in the way, rainfall with the dark reds, purples, pinks, all the way up into the salmon colors is definitely in store within the next 7 days for portions of Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, portions of the waters of the South Central to the Southern Caribbean for sure, and even portions of the Windward Islands getting on some of the rainfall. But regarding the close-up of Jamaica, clearly most of this accumulated rainfall is going to be starting up next Saturday. Well, this Saturday into early next week. Clearly, it's making sense. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Monday, November 25. And we see that there's a consensus for most of the rainfall on both the Euro and GFS models across the north coast. That's usually what happens. Whenever we have these frontal systems, it's usually the north coast that gets in on much of the rainfall. Yes, most of the rainfall is coming in from the west and pushing eastward, but clearly we're going to be having more of a northeasterly flow across the island, bringing more of that rainfall to sections of some northern parishes, anywhere from Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and definitely St. Mary and Portland with that moist northeasterly flow, that relief rainfall for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a lot of this rainfall spilling into portions of some southern parishes. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this accumulated precipitation forecast starting this weekend for sure. And I'll definitely be here to keep you updated with what happens. These things can change for sure, so don't take these forecast models as a gospel, because we know these supercomputer models can definitely change. It could be off, just like how the tropical waves moisture that formed Sara was off. We saw that they were definitely predicting a lot of rainfall for Jamaica, but most of the rainfall sideswiped Jamaica and pushed off to the south of us and pushed all the way into Central America, and it didn't even do that U-turn thing, that backtrack thing that the models were predicting, especially considering that it went overland. And we're indeed grateful, no complaints about that at all. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see a ridge of high pressure right there to the east of Florida that we know is responsible for sending some trade winds across the Caribbean from east to west. Frontal system right here stretching all the way from northern portion of North Atlantic, inducing troughs across portions of the central to the northeastern Caribbean all the way back up. We see a frontal, well, not a frontal system, a trough of low pressure right here across the northeastern portion of North Atlantic, stretching all the way down to the north of the main development region, and the intertropical convergence zones line right there associated with all of the moisture right there to the south of the main development region. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can definitely make out the clouds associated with that frontal system stretching all the way down into portions of the central Caribbean right there. We can also make out the clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone squashed to the south of the main development region. We know the intertropical convergence zone is basically where all of the air from the northern hemisphere meets the air from the southern hemisphere, and then we have a lot of rising air, lots of cloud showers and thunderstorms formulating for sure. Alright, so we'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean today later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, November 18, 2024. So if you remember yesterday's video, we highlighted that we would have been receiving more of a northeasterly kind of flow across the island that would definitely favor more of some isolated showers, even although it was forecast to be drier than anything else. It would have brought some clouds, if not isolated showers, in section of maybe St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, And then with the upper level steering and the daytime heating and the lack of winds on the south coast, portions of some southern parishes will have gotten in some amount of isolated showers, not some widespread or anything like that, just some isolated in some spots, not all. And just for reference, in the northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Southern parishes, we're talking about Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. And what ended up happening? As early as 8:01 a.m., the visible satellite image was posted right here on our Twitter page. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page at Weather.Jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we may post throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can definitely see that flow of clouds. We definitely had that flow of clouds coming in from the northeast, and then the clouds were definitely piling up across sections of some northern and the eastern parishes. So more so northeastern section of the island especially. So St. Mary, Portland for sure, spilling into section of St. Anne as well. Some of these clouds definitely brought overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, if not some drizzle, some dew rainfall for sure. Definitely had some persons confirming that on our other social media platforms. And we also had the visible satellite image that was posted at around 4:56 p.m. highlighting Jamaica. We see the clouds right here across St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, and we saw some clouds across portions of Manchester as well, starting to build up. Maybe some isolated showers for sure across that parish, maybe even spilling into eastern St. Elizabeth too. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before all was said and done with the day, we can definitely make out, first of all, that northeasterly low-level flow of winds and clouds into portion of northeastern Jamaica. And we can see these clouds building, especially across eastern St. Elizabeth and Manchester right there before all was said and done and we started to lose the sunlight. And the infrared satellite images wouldn't be showing much of anything at all, considering that we didn't have much in the way of cumulonimbus clouds, no high cold cloud tops at all. Just some high cirrus clouds, as we can see, pushing off quickly towards the southwest right there. If we take a look at the Barbican camera right here, we can see that we didn't have anything in terms of bad weather across the corporate area today. Definitely sunny for the most part. You can see St. Andrew right there, definitely sunny. People going about their business, walking persons, driving persons, riding. Definitely nothing prohibiting the visibility or causing any kinds of traffic. In terms of the weather, definitely fair conditions for the most part. And this should continue Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday too, until we start to get in on that cold front Friday into Saturday and Sunday. And if we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the CIMH, that's the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall today. Definitely across sections of Portland where we had the cloud cover, sections of St. Mary, sections of St. Anne, just some clouds if not isolated showers, nothing too dramatic or drastic. And we also saw some of the colors across portions of Manchester too, just to confirm what we saw on the visible satellite images. And we definitely have confirmation here from one of our followers on our Facebook page. We have Christina Diaz right here confirming 1 hour ago. This was posted at around 5:48 p.m. stating that it's surely dark in Manchester. Who knows, maybe she got on some isolated showers later on. If not, I'm sure that it was raining somewhere else in Manchester for sure. If we take a look at the latest still image from the Weather Nerd side, let us see what's happening across the island right now. So we can see the latest image just came out at 23:45 UTC. So that's 6:45 p.m. Jamaica time. So this just came out 11 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:56 p.m. now. Not much of anything happening across the island right now. And the Cuban Doppler radar images confirm this. So we can see the Cuban Doppler radar is back up and running. We're reloading the images right now. The latest image that it showed was as of 5:30 p.m. But it's reloading right now to show us the latest image. I think it's going to be showing either Alright, I thought it would have shown 640 or 650, but still showing 540. So I guess it's glitched out again for the millionth time. Boy, hopefully they get it sorted out, because we really need it. The Jamaican radar has been done for years now. Hopefully they get that one sorted out as well. So you have to be depending on the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery. Not seeing much of anything. Definitely dry days for eastern Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica for sure. But trust me, as we head into this weekend, into early next week, the rainfall shall return. So enjoy the dry conditions as we speak. If we take a look at the Flatbridge cam, we can definitely see what's taking place. The latest as of 6:57 p.m. highlighting that not much of anything is taking place. And the Rio Cobra definitely calm for right now. People in their vehicles going about their business. Definitely dry conditions. Definitely the order of the night for Monday. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And as of 4 a.m. on Tuesday, we can see temperatures dipping down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Tuesday when calculated. That's about 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we can see Jamaica right here, for the most part embedded in the gray colors. We see all of the cool air associated with the backside of that frontal system. Still to be plaguing portion of Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Eastern Cuba, the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos for sure. Jamaica going to be getting in on those gray colors that we can see by the key on the right. That represents average temperatures. And we know the average temperatures for the month of November across Jamaica are around 88 degrees Fahrenheit. 88 degrees Fahrenheit when calculated to or changed to Celsius, what we use, that's about the same as 31.1 degrees Celsius. So that's going to be the temperature forecast for Tuesday. And if that's a bit too hot for you, you know the drill. Try to beat the heat with these tips. Dress down. Wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioning. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. And limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. I cannot stress enough how important it is to always stay hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water, put down the sugary drinks, drink water instead. If we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we can see that all of the Caribbean into the northern portion of South America, Central America, North America definitely in the clear, as all the browns represent the Saharan dust should be across the eastern main development region as well as Africa. And we're indeed grateful that the more all of this pushes towards the west, the more it dwindles and dies off for sure. And we're glad also that we're not seeing those darker shades of browns that we know can cause very hazy skies or trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses, asthma, sinusitis in some persons. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, not much change. Majority of the Caribbean definitely getting on those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues that we can see by the key on the bottom right, that represents anywhere from 0.5 of a meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. So the fishermen out at sea definitely going to be happy about this. And we can see why. The winds are not going to be that strong at all, averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 all the way up to 15 knots. We see the winds curving right here from Puerto Rico all the way down to the portion of the Central Caribbean, curving back northward towards Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula right there. More of a southeasterly flow across the eastern Caribbean. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica in terms of the winds, we can see that we're going to be getting in on more so off, and it looks to be kind of an northeasterly or easterly kind of flow across the island, especially on the south coast. We see that kind of turning to the wind, and we can see that there's going to be the least amount of rainfall, the least amount of wind across sections of some central and western parishes. So if this was a normal day when we had more of a trough-like pattern or more of a tropical wave, it would definitely bring forth some daytime heating, afternoon rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. But conditions are so dry, not much affecting the island right now. So if anything, Maybe just some isolated showers for northeastern Jamaica again. Nothing drastic, nothing too worrisome at all. That's the pattern that we're receiving. Upper level winds coming in from the northeast again, and even the rainfall forecast map from the year and the GFS not showing much of anything. 8 a.m. on the GFS showing white across Jamaica, little to no rainfall. Euro showing something similar, just some dots of blues across Portland. We'll see exactly what happens at that time regarding maybe some isolated shores. Just keeping a note to about, this should say 3 p.m. I want 3 p.m. now. Why is it throwing 3 a.m.? I want 3 p.m. on Tuesday. Alright, here we go. 3 p.m. on Tuesday. This is what the Euro is showing. What is the GFS showing? Let us find 3 p.m. on Tuesday on the GFS as well. So, what, 19 hours out? Alright, so we're going 19 hours out. 3 p.m. No, this isn't 3 p.m. Let's find it. Alright, here we go. Alright, there we go. So 3 p.m. Not much of anything, much of the same. White that represents to no rainfall at all across Jamaica. The Euro trying to, bring more of the blues into portions of St. Thomas, maybe Eastern St. Andrew. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, the consensus is for little to no rainfall, more whites than anything else. Even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps not really impressed with the rainfall amounts. Just some slight greens across the east, nothing too drastic at all. And clearly, we're in the month of November, so it makes sense that the rainfall is starting to quiet down, especially considering that we got a lot to start out the month of December regarding Raphael and Sara for sure. In Kingston, this bar graph is being shown right here at the top. We usually receive up to 50 millimeters of rainfall. That's what, 2 inches of rainfall. In Montego Bay, this bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom. We usually receive up to 5 inches of rainfall. That's about 125 millimeters of rainfall. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish receives in terms of rainfall throughout the year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters that we receive on the rain gauge. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. If we take a look at the rest of the Caribbean, so we're done with Jamaica, let's talk about the rest of the Caribbean. The Eastern Caribbean has definitely been getting it for the past 24 hours, especially the Windward Islands. Lots of showers and thunderstorms. Still have some rainfall across portion of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica. Leftover rainfall across portion of Guatemala, southern Honduras, El Salvador, right there into portion of Mexico. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, let us see what's taking place for now. So the latest image as of 7 p.m. shows that we have some rainfall affecting portions of Dominica, some rainfall to the east of Guadeloupe, to the east of Antigua and Barbuda, nothing affecting St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, the US and British Virgin Islands, or much of Puerto Rico right now. Just some isolated showers across sections of northern Puerto Rico. And if we load these images from earlier today, we can see that the rainfall is definitely plaguing portions of St. Kitts and Nevis, maybe Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe for sure. And regarding what's happening across Barbados right now, just some hit or miss isolated showers. You can definitely see the heaviest of the rainfall right there in the dark greens, yellows, definitely lashing portion of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, definitely getting in on some rainfall as we speak. Not much affecting Grenada right now, but we can see some rainfall across sections of Tobago, maybe some isolated showers across eastern Trinidad too. And if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can make out some rainfall to the north of the ABC Islands, some rainfall across portion of northern Venezuela, some rainfall across portion of Colombia too. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. And we can definitely see that portion of the Yucatan Peninsula should still be getting in on some rainfall, so too sections of northern Belize, section of Guatemala, El Salvador, southern Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, sections of Colombia, Venezuela, the ABC Islands, Guyana getting in on some isolated showers too. Not much for Suriname or French Guyana, but definitely a section of Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Bart, Definitely going to be getting on some amount of rainfall, and clearly little to no rainfall as indicated by the whites and greys for portions of the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Cuba, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and Florida. Definitely starting to dry out for sure. And we can see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.